Alright guys, so basically what we're trying to do here is we are trying to get breeders that look like this. We've got a maxed melee 254 melee mammoth with 201 health, and you're probably thinking, how the heck did that happen? Because I thought there was a limit on mutations. Um, you're right, there is. You can only get 20 mutations on each side, and that's if you do it perfectly and don't have any wasted generations in the middle. Um, but if you only have effective mutations, you could have 20 on each side and go from there. But this is the new method. Well, not new, but new to me. It's the flipping method, some people call it, or the negative mutation method. And it's a way to have infinite mutations on dinos. Literally, you can max every single one of these stats. 81 stamina could be 253 because it's an odd number. Oxygen could be 254. Food could be 253 because it's odd, and so on. All those stats could be 253 or 254 if they're odd or even. The way that that works is, honestly, it's a little complicated at first, but I'm hoping to simplify it for you the best way that I can. I watched several of these videos that are explaining how this number and this number come about, and I wasn't happy with most of the explanations, or I had further questions, or I just wasn't able to visualize it with the way that everything was set up. I'm a very visual person, so I'm hoping that this explanation will make sense. You saw the negative number here. This is the goal. We want negative numbers added to this positive number so that every time that we breed these dinos with our 0, 0 dinos, we're hoping for the numbers always to be below 0. Because a negative number with 1 is always going to be less than 20, so we're always going to be able to continuously mutate forever. And here's how it works. This process started with these over here, but let me start from the beginning. We've got coelacanths that I'm breeding right now to actually start this process. They're right here. I've just finished the process where you actually flip the mutation number to negative with this right here. So this is the first generation after I flipped the negative. So this is the first mutation that I received after I actually did that. I'm using more females, but for the sake of simplicity, I pulled up the extra females. But here's how the process starts. The process starts in the box right over here. You've got your first mutators. You've got 0, 0 that you breed together until you get your first mutation. You can use mutators for this. It's recommended, but not every server has them enabled and whatever. But your goal is essentially that. You're going to get your first mutations, and then you add them together. You breed that with a 0, 0 until you get a second mutation. And then you get 2 mutations, 1 and 1 breeding together to get a 2. Then you have 2 mutations, and you're breeding that hopefully together with your 1. And this is not, I did toss a couple of coelacanths, so I probably don't have this perfect, but then you have 2 mutations on each side, and I think this is where it starts to make sense again. You got a 2 and 2. This 2 and 2, since this is the male, is going to create the new blue number over here. So that blue number is now 4. That comes from this being added together. This was the previous female, but I had to gender swap it at the very beginning of this process. So this 2 is now here because that's the female from this and this being bred together. So 4, 2 and 2, 4 plus 2 equals 4 and 2. And then this is bred with this, so that you get now 6, 4 and 2, plus 4 to there, it's 4 and 7. Notice I got a mutation here. That's only going to happen early on. So this is 4 and 6, or plus 1 mutation. Then you keep going, and essentially this process just continues to get higher and higher. One side crossed 20. This now is both sides crossing 20. So this is no longer able to increase stats. If we go from the beginning, 45 and 34 to 49 and 38. That is, you can pause it if you want, the last mutation that we'll get for a long while. Now we're going to go down. We're going to continue to add them together, and you're literally just trying to add the highest amount of mutations to dinos together that you have. So the male with a female, and then I swap out the male for a new male, and so on and so forth. Then I swap out the female, and you keep going. The way that this works, you might be thinking, how do you get these crazy high numbers? This is the process simplified because it starts to add together each one over and over and over. It's multiplicative. You get 1 times 2, 2 times 2, and so on. And with not that many clicks of this button, you're eventually going to be in really insane numbers, like doubling a penny for a day, every day. You'd be a millionaire pretty quick. And then you get to the billions, and this is only like not even 50 clicks, I don't think. And once you get to this right here, this is where if it doubles again, that'll be more than 2.5 billion. So it will flip the number over to the negatives instead of going to 4 billion. That is the breakpoint. So with that in mind, we're doubling the numbers down, down, down. The numbers get bigger and bigger. I haven't gotten rid of any of these generations, so this is exactly how many it took to get from here to here. There's 50-ish things in this box. All right. So once you get down to here, you get 253 million plus 126 million, I believe. And then you double that, double that, double that. This is 1 billion plus 6 billion. If we put that together, we'll get on the pink side 1.6 billion. And then it took the 1 billion on the other side and it put it there. Now we've got this 1 billion, which is the total of this, both sides of this, plus that equals this. Now we've got a dino that I called this flipped male. This is 1.6 billion on the left plus 1 billion on the right. That's over 2.5 billion. It'll now make this if we breed that with the previous one. This is one step too far. This dino's trash. We do not want two big ass numbers because that is going to break the game and make it unclean, and it's just going to keep flipping back and forth because it goes both ways. If it's 2.5 billion, it'll switch to negative. If it's negative 2.5 billion, it'll switch to positive. We don't want that. It'll just be trash. So we actually take this one. It does not need any help to flip. If we take this two numbers and read it again, it gives us this blue number, which is negative. That's what we want. We don't want that pink number though, so we'd breed this with a pink 0, 0 instead to get this. This is the one that we want. This is the new male that we want for the time being until we get the next mutation. So this is Gen 1 that I called it because it's the first one that we have where we're negative across the board. And this breeds with 0, 0 female. And you get this one over here. Now we have one mutation because I bred and I use mutators and I got one mutation. So this is fine. We have this negative number, this creature mutated. So we've got one right here. That's fine, because once we breed this with our 0, 0 females, that 0, 0 female is going to create the new pink number, and it'll allow us to go back to 0, and if we get another mutation, then it'll be 0 plus 1 again, and this one will just subtract or add to this to make it negative 1.6 billion and 58 instead of 59. There's no way, as you can see, if you're just subtracting one off of that at a time or adding to it, then you never ever get that to 0 and then add it to 20. You just never, it'll never happen. That's the way though that it works. It'll allow you to go past the other side. Now we go look at the mammoth quickly. I'm trying to hurry this up. So the way that process, the next step is to start getting your actual stats. I've got a thing full here. This is my first attempt at doing the negative integers. This is the wrong way to do it at the beginning. Like I was experimenting trying to figure out how the heck to get that negative and then 0 on both sides. These are the ones that are like, how the heck is that working? It's not. This was the very first one that I finally figured out the combination, did it right, because I was confused. This is the one we wanted. Even this one, I was like, I did it, and it wasn't right. This is what the other one looked like, one breed too far. But I went back, finally got the first one that was going to flip, and it worked, and I bred it with a 0 again, and I ended up with my negative whatever number that is. And we went from here. So from here, everyone that was called NG2 or next negative generation 2, we go and we basically just breed the same male every time, or these males. We're going to continue to swap them out, and we're going to breed them with our 0, 0 mammoths over there that are females. And we start out with this one right here at the beginning of that process. And we go, one mutation at a time. We keep swapping them out. generation 5, generation 6. If I skip down a few generations, 37, we're now at 119 and 138. It goes up 4 at a time with 2 mutators, so you can go up even more than that if you are allowed to use more. This server has a mutation cap of 2 because it would be really broken if we had more with our rest of our tools to lower breeding cooldowns and stuff like that. Once we get to the end, we end up with the 201 HP and the 252 melee. We could, like I said earlier, stat this all the way up to infinite, like 254 or 253. Like I said, don't go past 254. You won't be able to add points into it with tame stuff anymore, but once you hit 253 or 254, you're done with that stat, and you only need to put stats into the other ones, like with new mutations if you want. But we stopped right there because we were done. All we really needed was melee. That pretty much does it. If you have any other questions, I'm not a YouTuber. This is not my job. This is not my cup of tea typically, but I hope that this process makes more sense to you now. And it was fun for me to make this. I've been coaching about 17 years, so I have a passion for breaking things down and making them understandable. But probably won't make any more ARC videos unless people start asking, but I hope that this at least helps you understand breeding. I know that it helped me not be so confused once I understood the different parts of this. Alright, take it easy, and happy arcing.